I hear her breathing. I hear you typing. I can hear you a little bit. You're quiet.
Microphone's off on the computer, so my phone's working.
Can you hear me?
I don't hear you.
I can barely hear you. So I can hear you breathing in and out.
Heard you there?
But it's like your talking is super quiet. Is there any way you can talk louder or make your mic louder? What the hell? My mic is working. do. And can you hear me? I see my mic moving. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I was accidentally on mute. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you turn your mic up?
Don't think so.
Can you move it close to your mouth?
How's this?
It's better, but except you started whispering. So you got closer, but you canceled it out.
Yeah, I know. I'll just hold this in front of my face then. That works.
Alright.
Before we start, check it out. Fresh install of Kubuntu.
Looks pretty nice.
I like it. I think my old drive was going out. Everything was just going slow all the time.
Could have been the drive.
Well, I swapped it out and now everything's fast again. So.
Could also just been file bloat.
Fresh install on that drive too. Like yesterday. It was still really slow. I swapped drives to this one. Everything's fast again.
Alright, so I thought Aaron was going to be more interested in the planning of this.
Seeing as his idea.
Well, it wasn't his. We're merging our ideas.
Right.
So I was fitting his idea into my idea. So I was thinking we could make a lot of cool immersive games in episodic fashion, where it takes 30 minutes to play each episode. And where's the other doc?
Like Twilight Zone status.
Well, it's just the idea that the episodes are not necessarily linked.
Right.
Like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone.
I haven't seen Black Mirror. Is it good?
It's pretty good. It's like instead of like redoing the Twilight Zone again, it's like redoing the Twilight Zone without redoing the Twilight Zone, so it's pretty good.
Oh, that's good.
That's not to say I didn't enjoy every single iteration of the Twilight Zone in every single decade, but it seemed like the wrong people got too much control in the Twilight Zone episodes. So I go, why don't we just redo the old ones? Except make it slightly different ending. Yeah. Right,
Can't complain about Shatner though.
Well, that was the original Twilight Zone.
Good to know.
Doesn't even count.
You don't even count.
Alright, so I don't know. A lot of these are design decisions. So
so not much two of us can do then.
Well, I mean, part of it is I have to make sure that Aaron and I's idea can merge together. So I have to make sure that this thing can do what he wants. Otherwise, he'll probably still just be able to use some of the objects that I create in here, like the AI and the health system. Have you seen my health system?
Yeah, you had a website running it. At some point, right? What's the link to that?
remember where I put it. I have to search for the links again. Where's my FTP? That's not FTP. No, I didn't get one reinstalled on this one yet.
You just upgrade machines too?
It was starting to run pretty slow and crappy, and it was doing this. It wouldn't install the latest Windows update,
Huh.
but it would keep rebooting to install the Windows update
No.
without asking.
But it would never succeed.
It would never succeed, and so it'd keep trying to. It would run fine for. I mean, it would run for a few hours and then go. We need to install the Windows update, and then it would go and install the Windows update, and then it would run for a few hours and it would go. Yeah, we need to run the Windows update, and then it would just shut down and start installing the Windows update.
Circle booting Windows. That's what you want.
So that was fun. So I was like, all right, F this, and just reinstalled from scratch. So everything's good now.
Probably really quick too.
Yeah, not too bad. Just installing all the programs only took a day. But obviously not an FTP client.
Ah.
Alright, let me check my... I'll use the crappy web file browser on the server.
Oh, I gotta get Sublime.
It's in, I shared it with you. I shared the project with you in Git.
Oh, in Git. Okay. Git.
But right now it's just JavaScript. But I'm going to do the JavaScript until I get everything worked out, and then we can convert it over to C++.
Right.
For using in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, and I wish my OpenGL would update.
Unify Husker
Let's see.
JS.
Repository is Tracer Racer. I only see Rightier and Tracer Racer in your Git.
Well, I shared the other ones with you. Did you accept the invite?
Let's see. GitHub.
I hate the roundabout way it takes to get to my repositories on the
it's kinda
GitHub website.
a little annoying. Is it called Husker?
Yep.
Okay.
There's Ridier, Husker, and Tracer Racer. I don't have Ride in mine. I wonder if that's one Pete set up.
Ah.
But I'm not connected to the Ride one. I don't remember setting up a Ride one.
Oh man, your style sheet is amazing.
What's
You
that
have
supposed to
a lot
mean?
Wow, that's very short.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I only
seem
do
to
the
be-
styles that I need.
Wow, this is many lines of JavaScript.
Yep. It's pretty complicated. So, like for instance, a gunshot would be like a puncture. Let's not do it to the head. Let's do it to an arm. And it'd be a pretty severe shot, so it's up the power, and then pow. Now he's injured and he's hurt and he's bleeding. So you'll see all sorts of things happen. His breath rate increases, the heart rate increases. You'll see the pain levels start to go up. You'll see that the pain isn't so as bad as it is down here because of the adrenaline reduces the pain a bit. But then there's also this little bit of adrenaline that's being used up because that it doesn't have unlimited adrenaline. So once that wears out, then the pain is going to wear out.
Right.
But you also see that the person's bleeding to death because this blood keeps going down. So we can do a few things, like we can do a stitch, and let's do some blood so he doesn't bleed to death. So you notice it doesn't happen immediately because the person's still stitching, and now they should be getting blood so they'll no longer bleed to death. It's a pretty severe gunshot wound, so they're still bleeding to death. But they're not bleeding to death as quickly. But as soon as the stitch gets in place, they should start getting better.
You have this up somewhere right now?
What?
You have this up somewhere right now?
Oh yeah, I'm sharing it on the YouTubes. I'm not sharing it on my screen. I don't know if I can even share the screen at the same time.
Oh, where's the YouTubes?
Where's my share screen options?
Forgot we were recording these.
Alright, there. Does that work? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so now that the stitch is in place, the bleeding slows down by a lot because the stitches are pretty good. Now we can add some super glue. That goes pretty quick. But let's see. Oh, I want to do a bandage. Oh, you can't do a bandage until you're done applying the super glue, stupid. Now that super glue's done, now I can apply the bandage. And now that all these things are in place, the natural blood level's going up. Doesn't even need the blood transfusion anymore. But we can get him back up to speed a little quicker with another blood transfusion. You can see all these. You go, wait a minute, what if I want to remove this super glue?
How?
Yep, oh, I'm going to remove this super glue. So it takes a little while to remove the super glue, and all the time you're doing it, you're damaging the person a little bit more because you're removing the super glue. And so it hurts to remove the super glue. It hurts to remove any of these, but super glue hurts a bit more than the other ones.
Right. It tends to grab on.
And so you notice all these other things. The breath rate is reduced down since his pain level's down a bit. Oh, another thing we can do, let's give him some morphine. Boom. Let's get rid of his pain by a lot.
Heart rate just bumped up to 110.
Yeah, morphine's not good for the heart rate.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And you notice the adrenaline's pretty much worn out, so he's not going to be as immune to pain anymore.
The brackets is what's left?
Yep. That's the tank. And this is what's in the blood, and this is in the tank.
Oh, okay.
And notice the brain activity is down a little bit. That's because they lost too much blood for a bit there and has to wait until that regenerates. They don't feel 100% immediately.
Plus morphine, right?
Let's put him into a resting position so he's not working so hard.
Oh, morphine's almost out.
Yeah, but you shouldn't need it too much anymore. The pain, look, the pain is down to a 25.
Not 9? Not 6?
It's just to cause a bit of pain because of ripping out the super glue.
One more thing you could add, if you need more things, is I know it's blood pressures in there.
Yeah, blood pressure is not there, but blood pressure is kind of. I'm not gonna do like real blood pressure. I would just do something based off of how much blood is in the system and the heart rate.
Right, and you know it's more long term really than anything else.
And you also notice the steadiness goes down a little bit. So you could use these like if the person was holding a gun, the less steady, the shakier the hand. You know, if you get shot in the arm, you're not going to be too steady with the gun until it's healed up again. Now, this isn't going to be completely realistic. It's just going to be adding the idea behind it is just to add a more complex strategy to living and dying. Because the person is strong in a lot of ways, but also kind of weak.
Yeah.
Like if you just did a bunch of cuts, just some lower power cuts. Notice they can take a lot of beating on that, like a bunch of cuts. So, but they're not gonna die too quickly from it.
Right.
Probably just do a bandage to the whole arm.
So the 17 to 30, that's just completeness of the process?
Yep. This is how much, and once it gets to the last 25%, then it starts taking effect all the way up to 100% effect. So near the end of the application, it starts to take effect.
Okay.
Looks like that's not going to cut it for all those cuts. Let's give him some blood real quick. Let's get rid of the arm bandage.
How quickly does the adrenaline come back?
It comes back pretty slowly. There's also there's a bit of calculations on it. So everything is complicatedly based on each other. So it doesn't come back that quickly, but there are conditions that make it come back faster. Wonder why I can't remove. Oh, there it goes. Oh yeah, I had to fix that. Because of the way I did this, I'm refreshing this every frame.
Oh no, it's hard to click.
So you have to click it in less than a 25th of a second. Alright, now we got that. We're gonna have to apply a bunch of stitches. You can only stitch one cut at a time.
Well, that makes sense.
Anyway, so there's a bunch of stuff I still have left to do on the system. Where's my design doc? It's called the injury system. Alright, so if we look over here, see there's still a bunch of things. Okay, for the UI that's not too important because that's not about the underlying system that I'd be copying over to other things. But they do make it easier to test. Alright, so I was thinking of doing the actions to be a little bit more advanced. Because right now I just have basic activity things, but what if the person's walking? Then they're not using their arms too much. Because I wanted to also introduce in things like if you're using the arm that's like has all these cuts, then it's gonna not heal as quickly. You feel me?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I should have done some blood. Let's cancel this one.
You only do 2 things at a time?
That is correct.
Are you taking into account being treated by somebody else?
In this is just the UI that limits the amount of things that can be done at one time.
Okay. Not a hard limit.
Like you could set it to be whatever you want, but if you're gonna make it, you're gonna plug this into a game. Obviously, you would limit one person can only do one thing at a time.
Right. Oh. No, I think he's applying both stitches simultaneously.
He's ambidextrous.
Yeah. Like the self-drawing hands from Escher.
Let's see if we can save this guy from the injuries that caused him.
So sadistic.
Oh no, he stopped breathing.
Heart rate 0. Stop stitching him and give him some adrenaline.
But he's almost done with that.
Oh, it doesn't start over from where it was?
Nope, adrenaline didn't help. I think he's dead.
No, you killed him.
Son of a bitch. I could have saved him.
You had to wait for those stitches, and he's still being stitched, and he's dead.
Well, you can still stitch them when they're dead. Maybe he just needs more blood. Nope, that heart rate's not coming back. And I don't have a defibrillator in here yet.
Oh, yeah. Defib. You have CPR? That could be helpful.
Don't have that either. That's in the redux of some of these. Okay, so I was also thinking of switching over to using blood, because I was thinking of throwing in some sicknesses and some poisons, and they can also throw the air into the bloodstream.
Oh, right.
So I was going to redo the system to have like a blood. It's not going to be like real flowing blood, obviously. It's just going to be, I guess it will be flowing technically, because it's going to go from the heart all the way out to other limbs. It's going to carry with it stuff. Recovering dead parts. Yeah, this guy's dead. It's not. There's no coming back. There ain't no coming back.
His brain function tank is
yeah,
well above 100.
There is that much brain damage. There's no coming back from.
It's only been 800 seconds, and you killed him already.
Yeah. Well, he started with a gunshot wound. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, and then you cut him on the arm 12 times.
But look, you can still repair the damage with the stitches.
So I take it once you cancel a stitch at like 59 to 60, it would start. Next time you start it, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right. It will start. It will start to cause damage. You can also cancel removing. So if you remove it, you can cancel the removing of it. And then when you continue, it continues from the same spot because you've already started removing it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking.
You'll see it's causing damage to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Removing stitches.
So anyway, so this guy's dead. Let's bring him back to life. He's alive!
That was easy.
Refresh. It makes me feel kind of bad.
Well, stop killing him then.
I mean, you give him pain, and then you make him feel pain. But yeah, I think it works pretty awesome so far, because it has the complexity. Like, I brought people back from death by just giving them some adrenaline, even after the heart rate stopped.
That's cool.
With only a little bit of brain damage.
Just a little bit.
And the cool thing about it is the system, see this? This is as complicated as it is to injure the person. Boom,
Yeah.
blunt hit to the head. That's all you have to do to plug into the system. You provide the part you want to affect, the injury you want to cause, and then the power level of it. And that's as complicated as the injury it gets, and then everything else gets handled inside the system. You
Right.
call an update, and the update handles everything. And the same thing for treatment. You tell it what part, the type of treatment, and the skill. Although some of the treatments only apply to the body, like the blood. Obviously, you don't care where you put the blood, really. You gotta find a vein somewhere. It could be on the forehead,
Mhm.
which has happened. You can do
Yeah.
a blood transfusion on any vein, pretty much any major vein.
No, there's none of those in the head. There's no blood flow there.
No blood in the head.
No.
Well, for the rest of us, there are. Oh, another thing is I've added some other types. Like you'll see, because the head got damaged with a blunt object, you'll see the consciousness go down a bit when they get hit. So, bam! Oh, consciousness took a hit because it's a blunt damage to the head.
Right.
And so it has some complicated, it has a bunch of complicated type effects in there.
Right. And you could easily tie that, like, consciousness into opacity on the UI or something.
Yeah, you could do, like, the developer could do whatever they want with any of these outputs. See, there's also, you'll see when I do this, it switches from rest to low. They don't immediately just stop. It has to cool down or speed up to it.
Right. Does it take longer if they're, like, super...
Not too much longer. Like if they go from resting to heavy cardio.
Ooh.
I mean, because if you went from sitting down to running, your heart rate's going to get up there pretty quick.
Right, but if you go from cardio to rest, that should
Then
take
it's
a
going
little
to go a
longer.
bit slower. You'll see the heart rate goes down a little bit slower. It also, once it gets closer to the target heart rate, it slows down a little bit more as it approaches. So it's a little curved. See, now it's going slower to slowing down slower.
Signing out.
Consciousness also gets affected by the amount of blood in the system. So if you bleed too much, consciousness gets affected.
Makes sense.
So like the developer can use these for a lot of different things, and the same for all of these for individual parts. Like if my plan was inside the system to create pointers to these objects inside of the player object, so that like a see, let me injure a leg.
Foreign.
See, their speed drops
Oh.
because they got injured in the leg. Now they walk slower.
That's fair.
And so yeah, some other major revisions. I need to redux the treatment. Redux. I don't know why I say it that way. I think it's funny. That's why I say it that way. It's probably just annoying.
I have no idea what Redux... I mean, I get in context what it means, but I have no idea what it means.
Well,
Why Google things? It's too easy.
brought
Brought
back,
back.
revived. So, treatment targets, because I'm going to target the blood, a part, or an injury. Right here, they do target either the body or or a limb or an injury. Because you notice with some of the treatments, like with the stitching, targets an injury. Bandage targets a part, and blood or morphine targets the body or adrenaline.
Okay. Well, when you click bandage or whatever, do you still need to click part and injury, or does it just go to the
Well, for
Which one's
this, it's this part's already selected, so whatever this part is what gets targeted.
Okay, so that is relevant to that.
Yeah, I should have done it. I should have separated it out, but I was being kind of lazy. I would do that with the Redux. All right, I'd do it with the redo of the treatments. It would be like if you selected blood, then it wouldn't have a part selection. If you selected burn cream, they'd bring up the limbs that you could target. If you did stitch, it'd bring up the limb and then the injuries underneath that limb.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, but that's just UI stuff. That's not as important as the underlying system.
Right, I was just wondering, I didn't notice you changing any of the other stuff, so I was just wondering if it automatically found like the most severe of that particular type of treatment.
Nope. Right now it just does the first. You have to do them in order because, well, if you have access to them, like the developer has access to them. It's just in the UI I just did it simple. I just did the first one that didn't already have a stitch applied.
Makes sense.
But you can target individual injuries through all the pointers and whatnots. And then need to add in these new treatments to make sure that they can work. All the available treatments that you can do to a person. Damage to the leaving one. Oh, that one already works. And then I was going to redo injury types. So here's the thing. I have in here an injury type of a foreign object, like if you got shot and that's still sticking around inside of your body.
Right.
Now, if you remove that, that should cause another kind of injury.
Right.
And that's what I need to put into the system. Secondary injuries, based on if the injury gets treated. That's one of the things. Also, need to do grip, so if someone can be strangled, and crush, the new injury type. And then scars. Why not?
Okay.
If it's healed, it now has a scar, depending on the power of the injury. And then these other things are things I need to do, and then I need to allow customization so that someone can set up the system to work for whatever kind of thing they want. Right now it's kind of set up for like an action game. That's why the healing and dying happens pretty quick.
Yeah. I like the temperature thing you're going to add.
Oh yeah, body temp?
If you're like in space, that would make a lot of sense.
Yep, or if you're cold, or if you're hot. You know, temperature matters a bit.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that difficult to introduce in the system. The code is only partially commented, but I think I commented a lot. If you look through it, you should be able to get a handle on what's going on. It also doesn't take that much processing to do this complicated system, which is one of the biggest things I wanted to do. I mean, it's not going to be a super realistic system, but it's a very complicated system that doesn't take that much processing.
Right.
And that's what I was going to do for this new conversation system.
Wow. Never seen folder view in Sublime before.
Oh yeah, you can just so let's remove this. Just take a folder, drag it in.
Ah, nice.
Dude, I love Sublime, and until something comes along that's better than it, I am going to keep using it.
I use Sublime anytime I need to do anything with multiple cursors.
Yeah.
Generally, if I'm doing bigger stuff, I I've been leaning towards VS Code. I really like it.
It's nice, but it doesn't do multiple selection edits.
No, well, it does, just not as nicely.
Same difference.
Yeah, if you highlight something that you want to highlight a bunch of, you just hit Control D a bunch of times, and it keeps adding a cursor around each one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best, but yeah, anytime I need to do stuff like that, I just copy it over into Sublime. I'll do it there, and then I copy it back.
All right, so I got a very basic system in here for this, just getting started. So if something triggers an anger event, now the anger level goes up and then it drops slowly.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna, like, an emotion's not just gonna go away immediately. But I was thinking of adding later on, adding those in modifiers in as a personality trait. Because if someone's like really bipolar, they're going to be able to fluctuate between emotions very quickly.
Right.
But for like, I'm designing it for normal people first, and then we can throw in mental disorders. So like, you'll see it goes down a little bit. The reason why I'm not making these all like on a spectrum type thing, like anger and whatever, happiness and sadness on a spectrum, is because I wanted to make it, because I think you can feel a few different emotions at the same time.
Right.
You can feel happy and sad at the same time.
Indeed.
And you can also be angry, and you can also be scared.
However, being happy, sad, angry, and fearful all at once seems a little...
Yeah, I'm sure you can. And so this obviously doesn't take up that much effort inside the... Here you'll see, where's my mind. So it's pretty basic right now, because each of the emotions takes care of itself. But I'm gonna have to redo this, because the new idea, when I was thinking about how to do the conversation part, which was the more important part than just having emotions, the idea behind this would be the AI would have a bunch of memories, and before the person is going to reveal like the meat behind the memory, they might have locks in place that you have to unlock by showing them something, telling them something, having them smell your finger or whatever. one of the senses, because that's how you interact with them. And then to get the meat out, they might possibly have some triggers that you have to trigger. Like, they're not just going to blurt out everything that they know that's unlocked. So you have to actually ask them about something. Maybe someone would, I don't know. But I'm not gonna design a neurotic first. I'm gonna try and design a mentally healthy person first. Or mostly healthy.
Right.
And so I'm gonna have to redo how this works, because the new idea is now that a memory, the power is going to be the base level of the emotion. So I was thinking a power between 1 and 10. So initially it's going to kick up a lot, probably just by a factor of 10. So like when you feel the initial, like a power of 1 would be 10 at first. So bam, plus 10 because it's a power of 1. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But then permanently it's going to be closer to a power of 1. So once it goes down, it's not going to go down all the way. That base is going to, it's like it's going to deplete down to 1 slowly, and then even slower the base is going to go down.
Oh, I see.
So it takes, so you'll be, oh, I'm scared, I'm super scared for a little bit, and then, oh, okay, I'm feeling better, but I'm still a little scared.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or angry,
when you
or
see-
sad, or happy. Still a
when
little
a-
bit that remains, but that goes away slowly also.
Right, but like when a giant spider lands on your arm,
Right.
you freak out for a second, and then the rest of the night you're looking for spiders.
Yeah. But then if it happens like 10 more times, you're probably going to be a little neurotic going around looking for spiders everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh. I was using anger as my things. Increases motion level. Decays semi-quickly to the base level. I already said that. And then it slowly decays. The base rate slowly decays. And that's going to be based on the emotion. I'm thinking just based off of the power of the emotion. So a level of 10 is going to be decaying slower than a level 1. That's what I'm thinking. But maybe I want to make it a little more complicated, and I'll have a throw in a decay rate also. Not sure yet. We'll see.
Half-Life.
Similar memories increase the base even higher. So like the spider example, the more spider scares that you get, the more they help each other grow.
Right, the more likely you're going to burn the house down.
Right. So, but if you got like a spider scare and then someone said boo when you went around a corner, those don't necessarily help each other become stronger emotions.
Right, they're separated.
I mean, they'll still by natural effect beef it up a little bit for a temporary amount of time, but not as well as like constantly being scared of spiders jumping on your face. And we can add in phobias too. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
We should actually, I should throw that in here for now, because phobias wouldn't actually be that difficult to throw in. All right, so new stimulus inflames the memory. So if you start talking about a memory that's triggering a happy thought, you'll be a little happier, or the AI will be a little happier when you're talking about it.
All right.
Makes sense? I hope.
Yeah.
So it doesn't increase anything, like the base doesn't increase, but the level of happiness will go up a little bit without having to go through another happy memory. So they can be get a little happier just by thinking about a happy memory.
Right.
And then the sense data. So each memory is going to have 6 senses. I know what you're thinking. 6 senses? That doesn't make sense. But I'm going to add in thinking as a sense.
Alright, so
each memory is going to have these 6 things recorded at the same time.
okay. Now, can you help put this into context a little bit? Are all of these memories to be pre-programmed into the AI?
For testing, yeah. But I think if we get the system in place, we should be able to help it figure out a kind of system to throw in memories on the fly also.
So you think it could actually learn as you play?
Learn's a strong word for this.
Right.
These
right.
aren't like
Adapt.
real memories. They're not going to be... This is just... I guess technically they'll learn something because they'll have more information to work off of.
Right.
But I'm not sure. It's not like... No. Yeah, this isn't like machine learning. If that's what,
Right.
if that's the area, if that's the way you were going.
Well, I mean, this is all really cool and all that. I'm not seeing immediately how and where it'll be applied.
So the environments that we're going to be creating, we're going to have a character or characters in there. They're going to have to behave and do things, and you may want to get information from them, and to do that, you're going to need to talk to them.
Okay.
And so instead of doing a completely linearly scripted series of talking, you're going to have to actually interact with them like they're a person.
All right.
And so in order to do this, I had to create a more complicated conversation system.
Now,
So
will
this is the
be-
more complicated conversation system.
Right. Okay. So, in your ideal use case, would this be a free form conversation, or would there still be a list of choices?
I think because we're going to want to target games where someone's going to be using a controller, typing out a response is going to be a little stupid.
Right.
So what I'm thinking of doing is having some pre-canned responses.
Right. Build out some conversation trees or something.
Yeah. But I'm not sure exactly how it is. Initially, I'm just going to use this chat box, and I'm going to just use text until I can figure out a way to make the actual conversations better. I think I'm not even sure if this is going to work. This might just end up being really stupid. You know, like some guy just running into a wall constantly over and over again. Look at my AI. Look, he does that by his own. Just keeps banging his head on the wall. It's amazing. But I'm hoping that it will create a more dynamic and still intuitive way to interact with NPCs, and have some characters that are more fun to interact with.
I like it.
But I was also thinking of putting this stuff into the injury system, because they could highly feed off of each other. Probably more so the mind feeds off the body, though. I mean, because we have things like consciousness, and I was thinking of throwing in stuff like being focused, neutral, or dazed. But I could tie that directly into the consciousness level. I wouldn't have to fake it. Well, fake it. Obviously, it's all fake, but you know what I mean.
Right. It's a real person, Matt.
And so the idea would be that you create the characters and you give them these conversation things that you want them to be able to convey to the user, and inside of those you give them these, you script out these things. So it's not a linear script, but you still script.
Right. Well, you always have to.
Possibly. We may be able to figure out a way to do it to dynamically generate memories and stuff. But as far as for this episodic thing, even if we do that, you still need to have the base character. Right? Because, I mean, you can't just expect it to randomly have the knowledge. If you're going to rely on randomness, then you're not going to be able to beat the game.
Right. Be very interesting game.
Right. Oh, or you'd only be able to beat the game if you got lucky enough that the person would randomly have the memory.
Awful helpful.
All right, and so, but the basic idea still applies. There's going to be locks. You have to unlock before they'll let you access the memory, and you might still. I mean, not every memory is going to have locks, but a lot of them are to make the game fun.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be brain puzzles.
Yeah, you can't just get everything.
Right, and then there's going to be triggers. They're not just going to blurt it out as soon as it's unlocked, necessarily.
Right.
And there may be things that need to be triggered, like say you have the guy and he knows how to fix something, but you don't have the part to fix it. He's not going to go, oh, I can fix that. Let me fix it, unless he has the part. He might say, I can fix that, but I need this part. Like
Right.
I might have the AI be slightly helpful to say this is what this is the triggers that I need in a more useful way than just I need part. Because that's going to be the other tricky part of this is to at first I'm just going to get the system to talk like caveman.
Right.
And then I'm going to try and generate some actual grammar around the things.
That makes sense.
And also, I want the triggers. Like, if you say something, I don't want to be like the old. I mean, those games were fun back in the '90s, like Maniac Mansion and whatnots, where you just like put candle.
Oh, right.
I want it to be a little more. I'm going to require it to be a little more grammatical, but that's not going to really matter since everything's going to be canned anyway. In the end. But I want to make it so that the canned responses are the actual responses that make it to the AI, and the AI decides off of those responses what to do. And then we can do all sorts of cool dynamic stuff off of that.
I can dig it.
Oh, and then there's going to be memory types. And I haven't figured out exactly how to classify these. But the idea is like you're going to have to remember to do something. Or it's just a straight up memory that you did something.
Right.
Or let's say it's a knowledge memory. Like you know how to do something. And then I don't know, those memory types like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can group memories into different things. But that's my plan so far. Let's go back to the actual plan. Maybe we can. There we go. Okay, so the purchasing idea is 1 episode per season is free. And then the person can either buy the whole season or buy 1 episode up at a time up until they paid the same amount as buying the whole season.
And then they just get it.
Yeah, and then they get the rest of the season.
Oh.
So let's say that we say it's like $20 for a season, and each episode is $4. If they get 5 episodes, then they get the rest of it.
Well, how very non-modern of you.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably won't work. I have all the kinds of ideas. Oh, there's this show called that I like called *Halt and Catch Fire*, and there's a character in it. Her name's Cameron, and she has all these great, amazing ideas for all these cool video game things, but the audience for it is so limited. Audience to appreciate it is so limited. No matter how brilliant the ideas are, not very many people are going to actually like it.
Right.
And so that's what I feel like all the time. Of course, I feel like my ideas are brilliant. They're my ideas.
Right.
But the idea that most people aren't even going to like them, that's what worries me the most.
I know what you mean.
I think they're cool ideas, but if you have to show the execution, and I might not be able to execute the ideas as I see them. So I'm thinking low poly, limited textures, and basic materials style.
Okay.
So if we were going to make it in Blender, I was just thinking just low poly style so that we won't have to spend too much time making the characters. And also, we'll start small, and if we can, we'll just updoot them. Just a little updoots. I don't remember where I heard that. Whatever. Then we need to do team responsibilities. Because it's a small team, a lot of people are going to do multiple things, but one person should be in charge of the big thing.
Right.
Like Like you would be in charge of the graphic artist. I would still do some graphics, but you would be the boss of graphic arts.
I don't know. I think I should be the lead programmer.
The lead programmer.
Yeah, I've got the most experience out of all of you.
I was thinking Aaron would be the lead programmer, and you would be the lead graphic artist.
Sure.
All right, so, but yeah, if you want to be a lead programmer, just talk to Aaron about that.
I'll just delegate to him.
Okay, so the bi-weekly meetings, let's say 8 p.m. Mountain
okay.
Standard Time, not daylight.
Right, because daylight's stupid.
Yeah, daylight is stupid. Don't like daylight.
I wish there was more of it right now.
Alright, so things that need to be done for the prototype. Okay, so the focus on the prototype is complexity through simple system interactions.
Okay.
Which is basically what I did for this. Like there's a bunch of, like the interactions are pretty simple in the back end, but there's so many of them and they're so dependent on so many other things that it creates a very complicated relationship.
Right.
Which allows multiple strategies to work, but you still kind of have to know what you're doing. Easy learning curve. And like as another example like this, to injure someone, I mean, you just do these things.
Right.
It's 1, 2, 3 arguments into the function, and that's all you need. Very simple. It's complex underneath, but to get stuff in and get stuff out is simple.
Right.
And the same thing for like the player. Like we want the player to be able to just jump in and start doing things without having to read a 40-page thing or go through a half an hour long tutorial level where it stops you every 5 minutes and goes, hey, did you know you could press the B button when you're jucking and that will allow you to do this? And you're like, oh god, just let me play.
Yeah.
All right, and the biggest idea behind these is they're going to be story driven.
Right.
It's not to say there's going to be no action, but they're more going to be more about the story than anything else. That brings us to the interface. If you want to design an interface, that'd be cool.
Oh,
Something future techie looking,
Uh-huh.
and it needs these 4 things.
So,
These 4 buttons.
Okay.
Then we're going to need an episode selector. For the prototype, we're just going to do 2 episodes just so we can have an episode selector. It doesn't really matter if you have an episode selector if you can only select 1.
Okay.
So 2 episodes for the prototype. The pause menu. I'm not sure what else to add to the pause menu. Oh, probably save. That'd probably be useful. Oh, the other cool part about this stuff is once this is all in the system, we could set this all up to be saved immediately and be frozen in place and then reloaded, and then the person would be just as dying as they were before.
Right.
Or living, whatever. I mean, you don't have to be negative all the time, I guess.
Yeah, dude.
So all these save menus need to be designed. And they're probably going to be using 3D stuff.
Okay, so you need...
I mean, they can be 2D or 3D, doesn't matter. Or a mix.
Okay, I'll have to look into designing UI for UE.
Don't worry about designing a UI for UE, just design a UI.
Right.
And we'll make it work.
I've never really done that for a game. Websites are easy.
Yeah. Games are a lot more simple because there's a lot fewer interactions the person can do. As far as menus go.
Right.
Like, well, I mean, some games get really complicated, but this one's going to be really simple. You click episodes and you go to the episode screen. poof. It's not like a
Mind
website
blown.
where you have to do all these complicated other things. Okay, gameplay. So basic game objects are going to have machines, creatures, objects, and elements. The idea behind the elements is, for instance, was electricity.
Right.
So all these objects are going to be made of something, and they're going to list what they're made of. And so the way the elements are going to work is they're going to be living on an object, and they're going to know how long and whether they can live on that object.
Right, and how it interacts with other objects that they are near.
Based on what that object is made out of.
Right.
So if you wanted to connect like electrical conduits, you'd have the electricity living from a battery or something, or maybe a generator, and that's where the electricity is coming from and living. And then it goes, oh, I want to connect out. Well, I don't have any other metals to connect to. Oh, wait, someone dropped this metal pipe here. Now I can connect to that.
Yeah.
So all the rules will be on the elements, and so they're going to be like a living entity in itself.
Makes sense.
It's going to have its own AI. And I think we'll just do basic object types for now.
Flesh, cloth, plastic, liquid, mineral.
Mineral, like a rock.
Yeah.
Say dirt too.
And then I don't know. Wood doesn't fit in there.
Could do wood.
And then is there properties to each of these? Wood is flammable. Metal is conductive.
Nope. That's what the elements are going to do.
Okay.
The elements are going to know what they're going to be able to attach to. Like fire is going to know, hey, I can burn wood. I'm on wood, so I'm burning this. I can burn cloth. I'm on cloth, so I'm burning this. I know I can burn flesh, so I'm on flesh. I'm burning this. That's basically how that's going to work. Is the elements are going to be like their own AI entities. They'll know what they can and cannot affect, and they will be operating as if they are separate entities.
Okay, I like it.
I hope it works.
Something like alcohol or an accelerant.
I don't know. That'd probably be under liquids, and we'd have to do types of liquid or whatever.
Subtypes, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that later. We don't want to make it too complicated for the prototype just yet.
Agreed.
This already looks plenty complicated.
Yeah, it does.
Alright, AI, simple motions, info bits, that's changed a bit. Point system, yeah, I'm already working on that. Okay, so plans. I should have had plans in here to my to-do list. So the basic idea is that the AI will have a plan and try to accomplish the plan. So it's going to have a bunch of to-do steps in the plan.
Right. Like kill all humans.
Right. So the to-do would be look for a human. If found, kill. If not, keep looking. Once killed, return to step 1. Look for human.
So while not human dot found.
Right. So we'll just have list of plans, and then I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but I'll get around to it. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of steps in the plan, and the AI will have to figure out how to accomplish each step on its own.
We probably have to set priorities.
Yeah, there's going to be priorities to the plans, and also if they're in danger, there's going to be some thresholds to the plans. Like, oh, I was going to go shopping, but this guy's shooting at me, so I guess I'll hide. But if it's like, oh, well, I have to go run through this thing of fire, but if I don't, then I'm dead anyway, so might as well. So those are the extremes of the situations that I'm going to want the AI to be able to figure out on their own. guess I
Let's
should just
see.
throw that in.
2 episodes. So are episodes just sections of the same story?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Each episode is going to be self-contained. We could do sequels to episodes, but they're not necessarily sequeled.
Right. Okay.
That's what I was saying about the Twilight Zone idea. That's like the big thing about Twilight Zone and Black Mirror is that, like the Twilight Zone, there is no sequel to any of the episodes. Unless you, I guess, consider other iterations of the Twilight Zone series.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
But I'm not saying we should limit it to that. Maybe we want to do a sequel to an episode. That's fine too. But they're not necessarily going to be sequeled.
Right. That makes sense. So the very first thing that came to mind to me, I don't know what you guys are thinking, is like a Space Odyssey kind of thing. Where you're Dave.
Yep, that would be one of the things that.
Right.
So this original idea came at me a few years ago, where I wanted to do a game that was a little bit more like a movie. In that, it's not like you have to kill a million things to beat a level.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to do was to make it highly interactive with more than one possible solution to get to more than one type of ending. So
Right.
one of the ideas that Pete and I were working on to complete this, or to create a prototype for it, was this idea that you're a guy on a space station that's in a decaying orbit.
Okay. And you got to figure out how to bring systems back up to push you back out.
Right. Or you got to find an emergency escape pod that someone else happened to leave behind.
Right. I can dig it.
Or you got to do all sorts of number of other things. Maybe you call someone and then they come and pick you up. I mean, there's going to be more than one solution to the problem. It's not going to be easy to do any one of those, but there is more than one solution.
Yeah.
And like if you get to the engines too late and fix it, well, you don't get a happy ending.
Right.
You got to it too late.
Right.
Now you're just now you slowed down your descent a little bit, but you're still burning up and dying.
Yeah.
No, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like it. That's a really good episode already.
So that was the idea, to test out this thing. And so there'd be an actual system, or not actual, but systems in there that work together to accomplish the goal. And so it's the idea behind a lot of basic systems working together to create a complex environment.
Right.
And then I don't know, maybe if we get good at it, and maybe if we get enough money from it, or any money from it, we end up making it better and more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so the idea is not to go full out doing our dream things on this. We're going to limit it a bit. And so I'm going to stop this AI when it stops getting too complicated, when it starts getting too complicated. I'm probably just going to stop it once it's working the way I want it to. And the same thing with the injury system. And the injury system's almost there.
Yeah.
But but because of the design changes of what I want to do, it's going to require a bit of rewrite for a bunch of things. So, but yeah, once I focus on it, should be pretty quick. Anyway, that's it. It's over an hour.
I like it. I think the hardest part of your space game will probably be controls.
Yeah, because they have to be simple. They have to be intuitive. And the other idea I had was I wanted to do first person. That way we could just throw it into a VR headset.
Right, that would be really cool.
And with the idea behind it being a more realistic, and you know how we use that in quotes, whatever, world that you're going to be living in, it should be a pretty immersive VR experience, I think.
Yeah.
We're only going to do text for we're not going to do voice acting, especially not for the prototype.
Right.
If this has wheels on it, then we might do some voice acting with it. And that's the beauty with the system too, is we can, because it's going to be partially scripted, we can just have a person read out all the things that the character can say.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll probably have to add in a few different emotional connotations to each of the things. But yeah, it's possible.
You could just do that with modularization. You can just synthesize that.
No, you can't. All right, and the other thing is, each of the episodes are only going to be They're only going to be the target is going to be 30 minutes of gameplay time.
Right.
With the idea that the person can keep replaying the same episode over and over again and get a different result every time.
Right.
If they play it differently.
So each episode, you'll need to define several different exit points.
Yeah, there's going to be, you're going to have to define the endpoints, all of the possible endpoints.
Right, and then the criteria.
But I mean, one of the endpoints is going to be like probably 1,000 of the possibilities, which is you die. So that one's pretty easy. That takes care of a lot of possible endings.
Yeah. But how you die.
Right. Oh, you died because you went out into the vacuum of space. Oh, you died because you fell into a vat of chocolate.
Oh no, I've got that song in my head. I haven't heard that in like 12 years.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I'm not going to be able to sleep now.
Anyway, I'm still really excited about this idea.
I like it. I'll see what I can do as far as UI. I'll look into some stuff and see what I can make.
Well, you have a long time to work on it.
Yeah.
I have to finish these systems and then convert them over to C++ so we can use them inside Unreal Engine.
Yeah. And then I've got to buy a computer so I can contribute.
Well, you don't have to contribute in Unreal Engine immediately.
I know, but I'd like to. I like writing code more than anything else.
And then, yeah, so got a little, and the other idea behind this is once we create these complicated systems, like the health system and the conversation system, all that's left is modeling, designing the levels, and scripting the characters in it.
Yeah, and once you make one or two people, I mean, you just modify properties, and
Yep, just throw in different memories.
I mean, like, as far as appearance goes, height.
Yeah, you can, once you get the basic design of two humans, a female and a male, everything else should be just based off of changing those a little bit. And they're going to be like, if we keep them low poly, that should be even easier.
Yeah.
And then you can use the same skeleton for male and female.
Malin and femalin.
Yep. The same bones.
Red bones.
Alright, well, I guess that's it for now. I might be able to have a basic prototype of the conversation system done this week.
Yeah, I'll take a look at some UIs and then let's see. I want to know how to implement them in Unreal so that when I make it, it's actually usable.
You don't have to worry about that. We'll make it usable.
Right, but I'd like to make it so you have to repeat as little as possible.
No, I think all you should focus on is making something that looks awesome, and then we'll make it work in Unreal Engine however we figure it out.
Fine. Be that way.
I just don't worry about making it work in Unreal Engine. These UIs aren't that complicated. We'll be able to do it.
I know. I'm just thinking ahead a little bit.
I mean, if you want to add in like a bunch of cool animations like sparks or fire or whatever,
I would think that sort of thing would depend on episode.
no, we're gonna have a main menu that's gonna be generic for all the episodes.
Well, yeah, but you don't really want sparks or fire.
Maybe you do.
Okay, maybe we do. I'll have to think. Is there a general theme that you're thinking, or just kind of future-y?
Kind of future-y. I'm not sure if there is something that exists that I want.
Okay.
I'm thinking like computers, interfaces, like gunmetal gray mostly, with neon type interfaces and stuff.
Oh, like command line.
No, like here's a bunch of
Okay. That's
glowy sci-fi looking interfaces.
Yeah.
Just do something like that.
Metroid Prime thing.
I don't know. Remember Metroid Prime?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Like glowy hologram type interfaces and whatnot.
Yeah.
But also
yeah.
with metal boxes and stuff in the background and things.
And things. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe make it look like a futuristic supercomputer.
Okay.
And if we don't spend too much time on it, though, try and come up with a few different ideas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll try and work with whichever one likes. We don't have a name for the game yet. That's the name of the game.
Dude, you have a million tabs open.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm a very busy man.
I can't handle more than like 5 open at once.
I don't like retyping in the things to go back to them.
I don't like having to find or reopen all those tabs if something happens to my browser. Anywho, I like it.
What day is today? Also, with the health system and the conversation system, we would be able to plug those into other games as well.
Right.
I'm thinking of keeping this going as a perpetual development thing so that we'd only have to do it once. And then we'd have some pretty sweet AI that we can just throw in there and have people act like people.
Yeah.
Or it completely fails and we have people acting like idiots.
It wouldn't be the first time.
I hope that's not the way it is.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to do my best to try and make it work. But, sometimes things just don't work. But the body system is working. So I think that's good. Even if we just use it as is now, we're good to go.
Yeah.
But the conversation one I have to develop. So I'm gonna get that done. Try and get that done as soon as possible, and then I'll try and work in updating the vitality system. Anyway, it's been long enough. I will talk at you later.
All right. Have a good night, sir.
Okay. Oh, and thanks.
Yeah, no problem.